Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee. Remember to use the promo code DNVR25 because when you do that, you'll save 25% off your entire purchase of that CBD-infused, deliciously rich, and potentially life-altering Strava Craft Coffee. I'm your host, Drew Creasman. I'm the managing editor of DNVR Rockies. With me, as always, is beat writer Patrick Lyons. We're hoping that Makayla Perkins can get her Wi-Fi situation figured out. If not, that's all right, because she's still going to be a part of your main course today, which is, of course, our conversation with Colorado Rockies starting pitcher Jon Gray. He was absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to get to that for all of you guys talking video games and zombies and hair, along with pitching and hitting and everything that goes on the baseball diamond. But first, Patrick, clean sweep for the Colorado Rockies at the hands of the St. Louis Cardinals, who are just the better baseball team all weekend. Kind of made it exciting there at the end. Almost stole that last one. Almost turned a really great day for Adam Wainwright into a sour ending, but still it ended up going that way. What a performance from an all-time pitcher as well.
It was, I think, his 11th career. Well, it wasn't a complete game shutout. Would have been
that close.
See, I'm already just anticipating this is what's going to happen. But yeah, he was close. He's been dominant his entire career against the Rockies. I think he may have a sub-1 ERA in St. Louis against the Rockies. So was dominant, wanted to get that final out. I mean, manager Mike Schilt even went out to the mound there in the ninth after McMahon had singled, and it was still, no, let Waino go out, finish this bad boy. And yet, the Rockies played the spoiler in a sense, right? They didn't come away with the win, but, for better or worse, that is a lot of what this season's going to be about, in addition to all the fun and the different highlights and great stories that we've been seeing. We'll get to a little with Connor Joe, and there'll be more guys, more updates on Kyle Freeland and Brendan Rodgers. That's been exciting. New guys in the front office with Greg Fiesel and Bill Schmidt. So there's new guys. This is a new era for the Rockies, and yeah, this weekend was definitely somewhat of a letdown. It wasn't a blowout. It wasn't this thing of Nolan and his new teammates just demolishing. I mean, it sucked, but it wasn't a complete and total utter beatdown. It was just all right, yeah, you hit us, and we're going to come back for 4 in Colorado, and, maybe they'll sneak a couple wins there.
Maybe giants them a little bit.
Maybe giants them.
I agree with you. We'll jump into this a little bit more again after the Jon Gray interview in a bit, but I do think that as much as, you kind of look at the stat lines and go, well, the Cardinals pretty well dominated them in that one. I actually think that it was a closer series than it might have appeared there. I think for most of the games, the Rockies actually played well. Like I said, the Cardinals are just the better team, and that's, the way it happened. Jack Flaherty and Adam Wainwright really gave them 2 fantastic outings from their starting pitching standpoint. The Rockies starting pitching, other than the guy we're about to hear from in a few minutes, has been a lot shakier this year than we were anticipating, and then they've been for the last couple of years. And so we can talk more about that as well. But last thing before we get to Jon, I want to throw this at you. I don't know how much research you've done, how much you've looked into this. I assume some over the year. I know that you haven't spent 0% of time on Adam Wainwright's baseball reference page, but Hall of Famer?
Maybe.
Without looking at the stats,
maybe.
Yeah.
He's a made. Look, I don't.
Tell me in the chat, just without looking at his stats. If you haven't looked him, and make sure you're joining us for these live YouTubes.
Yes, he's a Hall of Famer. Yes, you know why?
Yeah. Why?
Because you kept saying stats. Look at his stats.
Well,
stats. And we are no longer in a world in which pitcher stats mean that much, right? And again, I'm not calling you out,
ones, but
right?
yeah, no.
I'm just saying, we don't have that.
What are the 300 game winners on a thing?
Never.
Right.
If you win 200 games, you might be a Hall of Famer. Now, that is how far the bar has totally swung. It went from when we were young, 300, and now half of a generation later, 200 wins. So you know what? If you just go by that, by feel, I would say yes. Not a first ballot guy, but a guy that was, again, when you compare him with so many others from his era, was always amongst the top guys. was one of the leaders of the St. Louis Cardinals pitching staff that went to the postseason virtually every single year. Even when the Cubs were putting together a dynasty, the Cards were there. So you know what? Yes. But you know what? We do need to dig into the stats though a little too. That'll make us feel better about it, or it'll create an argument against to a degree as well.
He's gonna be a very interesting test case. I just took a quick look, and I'll throw a few at you since I do have the baseball reference page open. 168 wins. 169 now.
Wow, that's so low.
169 and 101 for his career. Career 340 ERA. A career 118 ERA plus. Now that has been drugged down over the last several years where he hasn't quite been the pitcher that he used to be in his kind of 35 and plus seasons. A few other things that I know are always of interest. Never won the Cy Young Award, but did come in third in 2009, second in 2010, then second again in 2013, and third again in 2014. So that's 4 top 5 finishes for Cy Young, but never won the thing. He also got some MVP awards votes in 2010, 2013, and 2014. He never led the league in any significant category, strikeouts, I guess wins a couple of times with 19 in 2009 and 2013, but never ERA or strikeouts or any of those things. Hits a couple of times, earned runs in 2016.
Pitched.
Innings pitched and batters faced a couple of times. So 2009 might have been his best all-around season in terms of that. And then the big one, if you're looking just at the career WAR, 36.5. But that's all without getting to what you talked about, which is the postseason and all of that. So
it does have 1 World Series ring. Actually, I think he probably has 2. He was I think he was injured. I think he was going through, he was recovering from Tommy John surgery when they won that second one. But yeah, his ERA in the postseason, 15 different series, 2.89. Wow. That's 18.4 wins probability added. So that's when you want to add some wins, is in the postseason. And that could be enough. He's always been in good standing. And, again, had those injuries that, prevented him from compiling, maybe 200 wins. But I think it's just we live in a new era now where those statistics for pitchers just are going to be few and far between, guys who are actually going to be able to do that. So you know what? Give him a pass on that. And the gut just says yes, not first ballot. Because I think that's normally when we answer that question, you're saying first ballot guy. Yes. But then there's those guys that are in between, like Billy Wagner. Is he a Hall of Famer? At the end of his career, I think most people probably would have said yes. And now he's been on the ballot a few times. And you go, well, he wasn't that great. Well, he actually was during that era. Yeah. He should be in. So you know what? Yes, put me down for a yes. Put me down for 1 Adam Wainwright statue in Cooperstown. We're gonna have to. You're gonna tease this. You're gonna hold your opinion because you know what? You might actually get to vote on this one day. So that's gonna be your tease.
Close, yeah.
If sticking around for this Jon Gray interview, which was so much fun, one of the highlights of my tenure here at DNVR. If that's not enough, just to have you stick around, is the Jon Gray interview. You're gonna get a potential future Adam Wainwright voters pick in 2021. It could change too. We won't hold you to it. Don't worry.
I mean, got to study the case. Got to put in the time. Got to put in the. But it's a fascinating case, and it's why I brought it up because he's had such a great career, and he's been such a fixture in the game for feels like the entire time you and I have really been paying close attention to it. Adam Wainwright's always been there. So another stellar performance from him today. Tough series for the Rockies. We won't hold it for much longer. We won't have much further ado, as they say. I will toast. You just have to do it. You toast your Breck Brew on the day to the Cardinals and to Nolan Arenado for hitting the home run. And well done, everybody. They got you. And like Patrick said, we'll see what happens back in Denver. But we'll get right to the Jon Gray interview. But you get a bigger DNVR beer, Breck beer at the DNVR bar. Hopefully they'll make us one day. We sell enough of these Breck brews, they will make us a DNVR beer. So you got to make sure and get out there and buy them. And you got to become a member of the family.
I want them to make one of these Nalgene bottles and fill it up when you go to the bar. You can put your cap on and take it with you when you go to the bathroom. I want We're going to get there eventually. I think the days of the DNVR we're having like a 32 ouncer, it's coming. Members only, of course. Members only.
Of course. One of the many benefits that you get for being a member of the DNVR.com, you get access to all the written content. You get discounts on hats, shirts, masks, again, the bigger beer at the DNVR bar. And if you order the annual right now, you get a free shirt from the DNVR Locker, and you get a free holistic stick from our friends at Holistic Wellness. Check them out, HOLISTIK wellness.com. And after you've gotten that free holistic stick, 10 grams of CBD, then you can use promo code DNVR30 to get 30% off any future purchases. One other one before we get to this Jon Gray interview. I know it's going to put a big old smile on your face. And if you want the biggest, bestest, brightest, most beautifulest smile you can possibly have, you got to check out our friends at Green Mountain Dental, located just 15 minutes outside of downtown Denver over there in Lakewood. They're the best damn family dentist anywhere in the Denver metro area. They treat you like family. They're huge sports fans, so they can put you at ease, talk to you about the things that you care about because they care about them too. Longtime DNVR partners. They'll hook you up with a free Sonicare toothbrush when you schedule that cleaning, x-ray, and exam today. There's no better place to go if you need some dental work done. So check them out at Green Mountain Dental Group today. All right, folks. I think without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and have to play this thing for you. Here is our conversation with Jon Gray. Oh, sure. Press the wrong button. Here it is now. All right, joining us now for what should be a whole lot of fun, talking a little baseball, playing a little start bench cut, talking some hair with a man who's got a great head of hair, Colorado Rockies starting pitcher, Jon Gray. Jon, we appreciate you taking the time. We'll talk about your pitching in just a second, but let's not bury the lead. You're out there swinging a hot stick, and you're bringing an RBI machine, Jon Gray. How's that feel?
It feels pretty nice, really. I mean, I feel like I was below average hitter the whole career, but it feels like this year feels good. I feel confident, late. I kind of know what's going on, so it's a good thing.
Were you surprised since last season you didn't get to bat at all? Like there was going to be some layover effect from that?
Right. I thought we were done. I thought it was over for us pitchers hitting, but it may be next year, it may be the year after, but we'll see. But until then, we're just gonna keep hacking.
Are you pro DH then, or anti DH?
I love the. See, I don't know. You know what? However way they want it, I'll show up and play, and
will there be a part of you that misses it? You recall we had it written down in 2017 off of Scott Feldman. I don't know if you remember that moment going going way yard. Are you gonna miss it if it goes?
Yeah, I'm gonna miss that part of it, but yeah, it's a weird thing to me. I've kind of switched over back and forth on it, but I don't know. I'd say I'm neutral.
Yeah, as far as that home run in Cincinnati in 2017, do you remember the details of that, or is that just one of those random games? And you're like, oh yeah, I guess I did hit a home run.
No, I remember some of it, and I remember some of the guys coaching me before I went to the batter's box. They were telling me to just jump on the first one and be uncomfortably early. So I did that, and sure enough, connected well, and it happened.
First pitch swinging for your last RBI just a couple of days ago too, helping the team out. I loved that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Of course, out on the mound, Jon, having a nice year. What's working for you, just generally speaking, out on the mound?
I think just having a good mix, not resorting to one or two pitches has been great. Yeah, I could definitely tell when hitters are looking for something, and this year it seems like they're not really locked in on anything or any areas. So I think that's been really good for us. But other than that, it's just attacking the zone and not walking guys.
Yeah, I know having a good pitch mix is crucial for success. What does that look like game to game? Is it based touched on, again, a little bit of who you're going against, what worked in your last start. What is the typical thought process when you look ahead to your next start?
Yeah, like we always get a good game plan going forward. We kind of know what we want to throw each guy in the lineup, but some of that can change during the game. If one pitch is really working one day, I mean, we'll throttle that pitch and we'll use the heck out of it. But yeah, it kind of, I guess we have a set way at the beginning, but it kind of changes as the game goes on.
As far as, we got a few notes in here. Guys are pulling the ball a little more against you. One of the things you've talked about, too, is your velocity. I remember watching you pitch in Grand Junction when touching triple digits was kind of a regularity for you now. But now it's been much more about command, sitting 94, 95, but being really effective with that stuff. How has that kind of over the years changed and evolved for you?
Oh, it's been a big journey, but yeah, I mean, I think I've been able to use 94, 95 really well, and like when you're throwing it like those speeds, you're not really throwing 100 every single time. It's a lot easier to control. It's a lot easier to hit your spot, and you kind of go along with that game plan better. And 95 is plenty fast if you can use it right, and it just seems a lot easier to make the right pitch rather than just reach back and throw hard and pretend I'm going to be healthy all year,
All right, so going into the clubhouse now, for the people who don't know, whose idea was the MVP chain? We got to talk about that because that is probably one of my favorite things so far this season. Just watching you guys have fun and then getting that MVP chain at the end of the game is just so fun. Yeah,
I love that part of it. I don't know who's responsible for bringing that on, but it's stuck since day one, and it's probably going to be a thing for a while. So, we need to keep it around because it is pretty fun, and we need to wear the chain the whole day though. I need to wear it on the plane, everywhere, at the hotel. Yeah, we'll just keep it on like a cartoon character's clothes. Same thing every time.
There's quite a few new additions to your roster this year. How are some of those young guys fitting in? When you see Dom Nunez hit a grand slam, is that exciting for everyone in the clubhouse when those young guys show up in a big way?
Yeah, it is. It's really cool to see them kind of, I guess, use their strengths and kind of play to be the player they are. I mean, they're here for a reason. They're really, really good. But it's just really cool to see him do it on a major league level. And I've played with guys like Dom for a long time. We were in Grand Junction together. It's been really cool to see that kind of process.
Second baseman back then.
Yeah, and now they're a great major league catcher. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, well, you're one of the veteran guys on the roster at this point. Is it weird seeing so many of these young guys in the clubhouse? And does it make you think about when you were that age and shoot, was I like that too?
Yeah, for sure. It can get kind of weird, thinking of it like that because it was only 5 years ago. I was the same person, so it's a little strange, but yeah, I guess I'm starting to feel old. A little bit.
So Elias Diaz posted a Instagram story of you guys out to dinner last night, and he said something about whoever sits in the middle has to pay for the bill. Is that kind of the status quo when you guys go out to dinner, or do you more like a credit card roulette? How do you guys kind of figure that out?
That was the first time I had heard that, the whole middle thing, but no, it was decided I got paid a little bit by everyone for a hitting competition for pitchers, and I was going to take care of the bill for the dinner, and that's kind of what we're going to do from here on out. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
I love that.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. All right. I think that's good to move us into our game of start, bench, cut. Oh, where I've got the graphic here. We can't not have the graphic. Oh, where did it go, Patrick? I had it in front. Always on top of it. Appreciate you. All right. Real easy game. Basically, your first, second, and third favorites of things. Mac, why don't you get us started with the on the baseball diamond one?
Yes. Okay. So when you're out there on the mound, what's your favorite? Swing and a miss, a called strike, or inducing a double play of those three?
My favorite's going to have to be getting a double play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Number two, I'm going to have to go with swing strike. and called strike is my last one.
All right. We love that. That's what I thought you were going to say.
It's not actually. I really thought the double play would come in third because, pitchers, you don't like when they get contact, but there's something, I don't know, just rewarding about that double play.
2 outs on 1 pitch. I love it.
Yeah. 2 birds with 1 stone. We love that.
Totally.
That is efficient. You're right.
All right. I've got a video game one for you. I know you and I are both video game guys. So start, bench, cut. You've got role-playing games, shooters, and sports games.
Oh, man, this is an easy one for me. I'm going to have to cut sports games out. I don't like sports games.
Ooh.
I don't really like watching sports, to be honest, but just playing. I love to play. But shooters are going to have to bench shooters, and then role-playing games is my favorite. I'm still a huge fan of Elder Scrolls and all that stuff. And, yeah, I get super nerdy stuff and Dungeon Runners. I love it.
All right.
Fantastic.
Awesome. All right, you're out on the golf course, and you have to pick a teammate. Are you start, bench, or cut Trevor Story, Kyle Freeland, or Ryan McMahon?
Oh, dang. Oh.
This is the hardest one so far.
Yeah,
Those
guys all three can kick my butt at golf, but I'm gonna have to. Mac's really good. I'm gonna have to say that Trevor and Free are a little bit better. I'm gonna have to start Free. I'm gonna bench Trevor and cut Mac. Sorry, Mac.
Oh,
Ooh.
brutal. We will make sure that gets back to all 3 of them. All right. I also know you're a big ghost guy, ghost hunter. You get into those kinds of things. So we've got this one may also be easy for you, but for monsters, monster movies, monster games, whatever it is, ghosts, zombies, and vampires.
Okay. I'm gonna go with zombies first.
Shocked me on this one. I thought you'd go ghosts starting.
I know. I'll put ghosts at number 2. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite zombie movie? You have a favorite zombie movie or zombie game?
I always enjoyed playing like Dead Rising and games like that. But I watched The Walking Dead for like the first 8 seasons, like hardcore, and I think 6 to 8, something like that. But yeah, and I kind of just fell off. But yeah, I love zombie stuff. It's good.
All right, you've got great hair. You got a great hair game, and some of your teammates do as well. Start, bench, cut, teammates' hair. Raimel Tapia, Charlie Blackmon, and Jonathan Daza.
Oh man!
Before you answer, I have to say, Drew and Patrick are both team Raimel, and I'm team Charlie all the way. There's nothing more majestical than a mullet beard situation. So you're gonna have to weigh in on this for us.
You know what? Yeah, I kind of agree. Charlie's hair is my favorite. I'm starting Charlie's hair. It's just I don't know. It just goes well with Oklahoma and everything else I like. So yeah, it's the beard and the mullet combo. It wouldn't be. You can't have one without the other. Like it goes.
That's perfect. What I'm saying.
However, Tapia, awesome hair, man. His hair just gets better every year, and so does his playing. But I think that's connected somehow. I think like the more wild his hair gets, like the more caliber player he gets, and it's just gonna be fun to watch. Daza has great hair too, but I mean, just compared to Chuck and Taps,
tough competition.
It's tough, yeah, tough. Sorry, bud.
Jon Gray, the voice of reason. Thank you for being on my side because I thought they thought I was crazy. It was like, there's no way. Charlie's the best.
Charlie's great.
Yeah.
No, I wish I had Charlie's hair and beard. That'd be awesome.
Who's got good hair game that we got to keep our eye out for? Like who's the next guy that's going to be in the conversation? Do you think?
Ooh, that's.
I know.
Mac. I feel like Mac is going to come out with something crazy.
Okay.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it can come from nowhere. You maybe wouldn't have thought that this guy.
Yeah, right.
Is that right, Mac?
No, this here is young Jon Gray. Look at him. You haven't seen that smooth face.
Oh my gosh, you look so different.
I know. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Drew's going to embarrass you now with some baby photos.
That's right. The final part of our show is basically now you've got to grade your own looks for us here. That's taken us back in time. But let's go to the polar opposite of that. This is what I like to call the dungeon master about to head off to Morrowind, grab his axe and go on an adventure look. This is the Jon Gray. A+ look in my book.
Absolutely, man. That's straight wild man right there. Yeah, that's like Happy Gilmore's caddy look. You know,
Oh yes.
taking a bath in the pond. Just
crawling through, just looking for the golf ball.
yeah, I love the ruggedness. Though it was great.
Now a little less wild. You smooth it up on the sides. You still have the long ones here. Goat at the bottom. That's a solid look.
Yeah. Man, I kind of regret that one though.
Was there an inspiration for it, or you're just like, let's just try something different?
Let's just try something different and just go with whatever happens. Yeah, and it happened. I don't know if I'm happy for it, but it happened.
And it happened.
Yeah.
This one's pretty close to current, right?
Right.
What do we call this look? Is this a faux hawk or is that a wolf hawk? I think that's a wolf hawk.
Mohawk.
It's a flow hawk. It has a little bit of flow, but it's a hawk. So
That's a good one.
Yeah, like you were saying with Charlie earlier, the beard combination, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Top notch there. This was right after you cut it, right? So this is I could almost buy home insurance from this guy. Like
Right. Yeah, you're right about that. That's a lot cleaner of a look. Pretty nice. Maybe what's that?
As you say, you might even also be able to like repair vintage furniture on HGTV.
Yeah,
like that.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that guy knows a little bit of like some weird music too, from like the 80s, 70s.
Yeah. That guy's like handing you a mixtape you got to hear for sure. Now this one's a similar look, but this is almost as much about the hair as it is the look. Is an umpire doing something weird? Is you're looking at the other lineup?
Yeah, I don't know. That looks pretty scary. Yeah, I don't know what I'm thinking there. I think I'm definitely checking something out. Probably umpire. Probably watching the zone, something.
That looked like an umpire look, yeah. And I think that's all. Well, and then I was going to end on this one, as we saw before.
Yeah.
Smooth face. Been a long time. Will we ever see totally smooth face and short hair Jon Gray again?
Unfortunately, probably not.
Good.
I think the reason why that happened too is because in high school we had the clean cut rule, so it had to be like around our ears, like can't touch the collar. And so like when I got out of that, I really wanted to like grow my hair out.
See, I think beards in baseball are just like so synonymous. I hate the Yankees clean cut rule. It's so outdated. Get rid of it. I think beards in baseball are just like perfection.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Yankee thing.
Do you have a favorite beard in baseball? We'll wrap up on this one. Other than your own and Charlie's. Well, let's go outside the Rockies. Is there a beard you admire?
Yeah,
Makayla, don't say Archie Bradley.
There's some great ones. No, I know. I'm not going to say Archie for that reason. Who kind of like, I don't know if he was like one of the first to do it, but Brian Wilson had a really good beard back in the day.
Yes. Just for men.
The thing was like square and thick. It was nice.
Yes. I'd forgotten it. Excellent callback. All right, Jon.
Very good.
Man, we really appreciate you taking the time. This was a lot of fun. Keep doing your thing out there on the mound and at the plate this year and upstairs with the Flow Hawk.
That's right, man. Keep it going.
All right. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Well, how much fun was that?
I appreciated that Jon was able to improve our vocabulary with the word flow hawk there. I feel like I've heard that out there somewhere, but I didn't know exactly that was his current hairdo. Is a flow hawk.
Some things. Let me tell you my favorite part of that, but I could do a top 10 of my favorite parts of that whole thing. But I do think, honest to God, my favorite part of that whole thing was when I asked him the start bench cut on the zombies and ghosts and vampires. That was like as serious as he got. For just a second, he goes and go back and watch it. He goes, okay. Like as soon as he
rubbed his hands together,
he gave it one of these. Like he got very like
deep breath.
Okay. Got to think about this ghost zombies vampires situation.
I like the fact that you snuck in an Archie Bradley comment in there.
I did.
I was like, what?
Whoa! Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that. I had, I guess, blocked that out
Yeah.
for whatever reason when we first did it, and going back and watching it was
and by
great.
the way,
your Elder Scrolls references really got him going. That was very enjoyable.
when you know a thing, and just for reference, in case for some of you who are Makayla's age and you weren't entirely sure who Brian Wilson is, this is what John was.
That is the worst
about.
photo I've
I
ever
know.
seen of him. Where did you
right?
even find that?
I got the worst one I could find.
That is really bad. I've
Did
never
you wanna
seen
see-
that specific
There's a
one.
whole like page. Here's better representation. This is the Brian Wilson beard.
I mean, all of them are really bad, but like that one's like it's rounded. Like you don't see rounded beards. Like I'd rather they be frayed ends, just kind of flowing out.
None of these
A
looks
lot
are
of
doing
just
it
for
for you.
men.
It's not a
And for even older folks like Eric Weedham, Brian Wilson was the lead singer of the Beach Boys.
Beach Boys.
Different Brian Wilson. What's up, Eric? Do you like?
I actually always used to think about that every time he would come to the mound. I would just,
Wouldn't it be nice if like that's
Right,
his
yeah.
music?
Totally.
I'm sure they did that.
I'm sure.
When he was in LA, they played that in San Francisco. When he was in San Francisco at Dodger Stadium, they must have played something like
exactly. But yes, indeed. Thanks again, of course, to Jon Gray in the midst of having a fantastic season. Last I saw, he was at I think a 148 ERA plus on the year, sitting in the low threes with the ERA, winning the majority of his games. Every time he goes out there, he's giving the Rockies a chance to win. And, as we were saying with everybody else in the Rockies rotation so far this season, even a guy like Germán Marquez, who went today and was better, it's been kind of flip a coin. You're not sure what version of Germán Marquez you're going to get today. And we still haven't seen good, dominant Germán Marquez yet. We've seen guy who can battle through it and guy who can't. And today it was guy who battled through it enough to give his team a chance to win, but still some issues locating that fastball, doing the thing. And, you could tell John was in a good mood as a guy who's not searching for his command and location. Like,
Yeah, let us know who you want us to talk with next for our little 15 seconds of fame, 15 minutes of fame, so to speak.
Go.
He's definitely famous because he's been on the DNVR Rockies podcast.
Yeah.
But I like what you said about Marquez there, because Gray has been that constant. He's been consistent, and he's giving you the same thing every time out. And, is that a maturity thing? Because he's almost prefers to be sitting at about 94 versus 96, right? He's able to spot his pitches a little bit better. His pitch mix is just better overall. And it's probably easier on his body too, to be throwing it like the way he's been. And, Marquez, we've seen him be dominant. We saw Gray dominant early on in his career. And now, we haven't seen necessarily John be dominant this year, but who cares? Like you don't have to be dominant to actually have the results of a dominant frontline starting pitcher. And I think Germán's probably learning those things a little bit right now and figuring that out and getting some of that maturity. I think it might have been 2019 as opposed to last year, but we watching the game and texting back and forth with you about, hey, Buddy's going to keep him in there. He's got to get out of his own mess and not just think like he just wasn't competitive. Marquez was not competitive that day and got shellacked. And it's like, yeah, it's going to mess up your ERA and all that. And players don't really look at those things all that much. But look, you got to finish what you've started, relatively speaking. Finish the inning. Get out of that jam. Get out of that pickle. No one's just going to save you by going to the bullpen. And so, Marquez is kind of, and trying to improve in that maturity level a little bit. And hopefully he can pick some of that up off of John, who's, again, just having fun this season, doing his thing, taking it a little bit easier. His approach, I think, has been a little bit better. And that's not to say that Marquez has had a bad approach, but the approach he's had, maybe he wants to dominate. And it's like, you know what? Just do your thing, settle in, don't put the cart before the horse. You got to just take those steps. I can remember when Nolan a couple years ago said, I'm going to lose a bunch of baby fat. I need to take the next step so I can have the longevity in my career, especially if I'm going to stay in Colorado. We know what happened after that. But ultimately, look, I got to be a superstar first and just do my thing as an athlete. And then I'll do the next step in the next stage. And maybe Marquez is trying to jump to that next stage of being an ace and being, Ubaldo Jimenez in 2010 before he's ready yet. And maybe it's just not going to happen on his terms. He's just got to sit back and be himself, because he is, he is the best pitcher in this rotation. He's not pitching like it, but he does have the most potential, the best upside of any Rocky starter.
And it really is about finding the balance. They're in between some of the questions, and we're always going to have fun with these guys when we come on, especially this year, and asking them about video games and zombies and hair and stuff. But, and we did Wild the Innocent. You'll have to go back and hear, because I thought his answer about the universal DH was really interesting, and you could see him really just kind of trying to say, look, man, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and I'm gonna go with it. But also inside of the hair conversation, maybe a hint at one team he won't be signing with in free agency. Didn't seem too keen on that whole Yankee rule, but I think you're right. For the hardcore baseball heads among you, the seam heads, as it were, that comment about, because he used to sit on like 98, 99. He could touch triple digits with some regularity. He was a fastball slider guy. He really hadn't developed his other pitches much. He was a max effort guy. And he's changed and developed over the years, and he's as effective and efficient right now as he's ever been, sitting 94, 95 than he was at 97, 98. And he talked about that and why. And I think that you're absolutely right that is a lesson that Germán Marquez is going to have to learn a little bit, because I think you can see him out there a little bit going like, well, I'll just throw the most wicked slider or the most wicked curveball I can, and then he yanks that thing all the way across the zone. It's like, yeah, it moved a lot, but it was never close to the strike zone. So, I think we also, you and I think actually like to point this out a lot. I think the wider world often forgets that Marquez is still only 26 years old. Still maturing as both a ball player and as a young man. So, I think there's more room to grow there, and we're seeing both sides of it, right?
And like you said, maybe he didn't have his best stuff today, and I think because his previous start at home against the Giants was so bad, historically bad, and again, that can happen to a guy. He probably had a much simpler approach of like, man, I just need to have like a quality start. Like, I'd kill for that, like just to get back to that, just to really flush that out of my system. And you go, okay, that, a simplified approach like that still ends up netting you 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, right? The homer to Arenado, which I think was only his 4th this entire season. So again, you put it in that perspective, pretty darn good. So, he might just need to do that to a degree. And again, this is probably good, this competition, and there's competition between guys on every team all the time. But Gray being so fantastic, and him now, we're saying, hey, ace of the staff is Jon Gray, and it's supposed to be Germán Marquez. I mean, he started opening day, yet we're talking about Gray a little bit more. And is Marquez again just trying to do too much? And we know why. We know what he wants to do, and rightfully so. You or I would, in that same position, would go, no. It's me. It's only me. And so he's got to figure that out and do what needs to be done. So a definite step in the right direction for him. 2 good innings from the bullpen. Robert Stevenson, scoreless frame. Daniel Bard, cool. Got back on track, and in a close game, much like Friday night was somewhat close. Another shutout. It's offense was scrapped a little bit this weekend.
Yeah,
right? A 4-hit shutout on Friday night, 3-hit shutout. Today did get those 8 runs. The Saturday game was the one.
Couple of big rallies on Saturday. Yeah,
a lot of excitement there.
So let's talk in just a second about a few of the things that did a few of the very few things as we've been silver linings podcast coming up for you on the other side of a couple of. But look, hey, first you got to save money. This isn't even you want to save money. Everybody wants to save money. This isn't even a problem for you. This is a solution for you. Our friends at GABI.com. Gabby stands for Get a Better Insurance. GABI.com/DNVR. It'll take you less than 10 minutes. No texts, no emails, no calls, no dollar out of your wallet, just more dollars in your wallet. Very, very easy. You're probably paying too much for your home and car insurance. I was spending over $480 too much for the year just on car insurance. Our
So
guy Eric
stupid.
Weedham, just
So stupid.
so dumb.
But as dumb as that was, Drew, and again, I was dumb. I was
Also
about
dumb.
370.
Yeah, 370.
There was someone who's even dumber.
Eric
The dumbest
Weedham was
person.
1.2 grand dumb.
This is
So.
this is our second time picking on Eric.
I know, right?
But this one, you know what? He's fine because you know what? You got to learn from your mistakes, make the world a better place, save our listeners some money. And so this one, I think Eric's going to be okay with.
That's right.
Talking about his Gabby story and how much money he's now saving on insurance.
That's right. So check them out again today at gabi.com/DNVR. It stands for Get a Better Insurance. You'll always remember it. Customers on average save $961 over the course of the year. It really is easy. It costs you nothing. You're just doing yourself a favor by taking the next 10 minutes on your phone or on your computer to go to gabi.com/DNVR. Get all sorted out there.
Done and done. Save that money.
That's right. And when you're saving that money, and I don't know what the promo code is, so I'm just going to have to help you out here and guess at stuff. But I do still have to give our friends at DraftKings one more plug for the week. We love them. We're plugging them all the time. We're always on there checking stuff out pregame, the over-unders for total runs scored. Strikeouts always fun. Who's going to hit a home run? Who's going to get a hit? Who's not going to get a hit? That can sometimes be an interesting line.
Can be.
Going at bat, just saying, I think this is going to be the outcome here. Whether or not you end up on top and winning a bunch of money and having some fun because, well, winning money is obviously fun, or sometimes it just makes the stakes in the game that much more interesting, kind of gets you on the front of your seat for an additional at bat or two throughout the game. It can be a whole lot of fun. I highly recommend you check them out today. Download that top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. I don't know because the promo code we've got, it's the DNVR's $1 into something. It'll be because the fight is over. The Canelo fight.
By the way, do you know what the results were?
I do not. Oh, did you get it though? Because
Canelo Alvarez did win,
Canelo
which he was a heavy favorite.
Was it in the 8th round?
It was stopped between the 8th and the 9th round. So I don't know how that pays out, but it was right there. That was plus 1,100, I think.
Damn.
So again, another reason to be betting with DNVR, going to DNVR bets. Those guys have been on a heater for a couple months now. We're giving you these good tips and tricks as well. And again, that's what it's about. Like these long shot odds, they pay out so well, and they've been coming up a lot more than you'd think.
So again, use that promo code DNVR. Don't know exactly what the promo is right now, but you can check whatever the most recent. Go on to YouTube and see whatever the most recent video is on Monday from any of our DNVR channels, and it'll tell you what that promo is. So when placing that bet, you just put in the DNVR code. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. And yes, the Wild the Innocent, we do intend on doing more of those, having that be kind of a running series throughout the year. We'll have a few more players on as guests. Hopefully, some other people as well. We'll have media members on, and we had Katie Wu for a longer interview as well the other day. But we'll have different kinds of people in and out to do that. It should be fun throughout the season. So yeah, expect to see those and spread the word far and wide. All right, Patrick, this is the silver linings part of the podcast, which means
we got to do it.
Chuck and Tap.
Dude, the bat is back.
Chuck's hitting. Hey.
Chuck, yeah, and Tapia, they were the only two that were really hitting. McMahon a little bit. He had 3 hits this series. A little bit. Nunez
had a big moment.
Big moment, yes. Struggled, but again, big moment, which for a young guy, I mean, that's all you can ask for. Again, you're a catcher.
Yeah.
That's good to see.
Yeah.
Again, they hung in there in a close game, trying to have those moments. And Connor Joe got called up, and now CJ Cron has been day to day, today. And so we'll see what happens. I think maybe eventually we could see him go on the IL, because at this point now you can do it retroactively. And so really he's only going on the IL for 4 days at this point.
Right.
I think Matt Adams has been 0 for 8. So while a small sample size, I think that experiment has maybe, come to an end. And really, I think the Rockies would have liked to have called up Connor Joe and we should just say Connor Joe. You have to
Connor
say his
Joe.
full name.
It's
Connor Joe.
Yeah.
When you're talking about Connor Joe, you have to say Connor Joe.
I think that's right.
Because Connor Joe deserves to be called Connor Joe.
Right.
But they probably would have preferred to call him up. And I think, Buddy essentially even said that, Matt Adams, much more veteran, experienced guy. You know what? We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Give him first crack at it. Joe's been up. He walked twice both games. So you love that discipline. There he is right in the middle of the order batting fifth.
Yeah.
But look, you're not giving me a pitch to hit. I'm going to get on base. And so, maybe guys pitching around him a little bit to face Fuentes. Maybe, but you know what? Joe is not expanding the strike zone. And so you got to like that. So that's a good introduction. Again, also, if you're not getting a pitch to hit, you can't have that big, first game, first hit, first home run type moment. He's drawing the walks. He's doing what he needs to do. He's getting on base. And so you like the start out of Connor Joe so far.
Yeah, I will say I was very impressed. About as impressed as you can be in a series. The guy got one hit and it was a single. But you mentioned, the walk didn't drive it in. It really didn't. But it was just so quiet and confident at the plate for him to not look overmatched by the moment or out there trying to do too much. Like you said, he looked very in control. I tweeted out, I think from DNVR Rockies, he just takes a very good, nice at bat. He takes a nice at bat, and that might sound like damning with faint praise or whatever, because you want to see guys who hit monster home runs and drive the ball in the gap and do things. And it remains to be seen. Like Patrick said, they got to throw you a pitch to hit. I thought he took a very healthy hack at the one strike he saw there in the ninth inning with a chance to get the Rockies back in it. He only saw one pitch that was in the zone. It was a fastball up. He was on it as far as timing. He just swung underneath it and fouled it straight back. But it's a good hack, confident hack. So yeah, I was actually and defensively, the bar has been very low this season. CJ Cron's been bad, but there were a couple of plays that I thought, Cron or Adams is gonna just stiff guy old man that thing right into the dirt, and Cron Connor Joe. Imagine just calling him Connor or just calling him Joe. And Connor Joe made a nice little athletic move, got down there, made sure he kept the ball in front of him, soft hands, brought it in. Chrome would have broken his ankle in half if he tried to do that move. No, that's because he's 6'5" and 300 pounds, and he could body slam me, but he hasn't been the most graceful around the bag.
No, and so obviously there's an improvement there with Joe, who I think he was drafted as a third baseman originally, played some outfield. So very fleet-footed first baseman over there. Like you said, it's going to be an improvement, which obviously is going to be very valuable for their relatively younger infield. Everyone except Trevor Story, but the rest of the guys in that infield obviously could use a little benefit of a guy with a good glove out there. And so, hey, at 28 years old, finally getting his first real opportunity. Obviously, he's had some health injuries and obviously out of his control with about with testicular cancer. And so it's good to see him back. So again, another one of those really positive stories. And that's not why you sign a guy. Let's be clear. We went through this conversation with Daniel Bard last year. It's like, oh, hey, let's get some great press. No, there are teams looking after this guy. There are 12 different teams that offered Connor Joe a contract this offseason. And we picked the Rockies because he said, hey, I'm going to have the best shot at winning the first base job. So you don't blame him. But that's half of Major League Baseball right there. Right. So it's not any kind of, oh, this would be a great story, let's put him out there. No, he's got to earn his way. Daniel Bard had to earn his way last year, and he proved himself more than valuable. Joe's going to do the exact same thing. And if he's not successful, he's going back down to Albuquerque. But right now, it's a great story. And again, I'm continuing to look forward to see what he does. And hopefully he will start to get some pitches to hit, because he does have some sneaky pop in that bat. And
you can see why he was a former first-round draft pick, right? And it's not all those guys work out, but you can see that okay, he's got the body, the mind, the athleticism, the eye for the strike zone. He's not intimidated. He believes in his baseball ability because there's baseball ability there. And we're all going to find out together just how much he's able to get back after that. And like you said, it may not work out for him, but even just watching him play, you're like, oh yeah, I can see why scouts, if you baseball viewer just went out to a field somewhere and there were a bunch of AA guys playing, and Connor Joe was also out there with him. You go, oh yeah, that guy can make it to the big leagues. He belongs here. That's definitely a guy with a big league body, all the stuff. May not make it eventually. Very difficult to do, but you can see why he was that kind of guy. So we'll continue to watch. All right, we've come to the Raimel Tapia section of the podcast. I'll keep it to one stat. It's just actually going to be one long stat that's made up of all of the other stats, because as we know, for me, it continues to be about the consistency. I could highlight what he's doing on the road this year, though. Drew Goodman and our friends at AT&T Sports did a really nice job with that. Hitting on the road this year has been fantastic. But
it sounds like this should be a segment.
This should be
I mean, we could call it tap time. Just off the top of my head.
Just off the top of my head.
Hey, what time is it? It's tap time.
You
hear a great fact why Raimel Tapia is doing Raimel Tapia type things, baby.
On base, again, actually base hit in each of the games in this set. So that keeps him that's a 9-game hitting streak.
Longest of the season so far for him. And for the team, I think, too.
I believe that's right. Both of those things are correct. It keeps him also at only 3 games that he has started this season where he did not reach base at all. What's interesting about that, Patrick, is those 3 games kind of all took place in a clump. 2 of them were in the same set with the Los Angeles Dodgers on April 13th and 15th in LA. He didn't get on base in either of those games. And then the only other one was April 29th in Arizona. Those are the only 3 games this year that Raimel Tapia has started and not gotten on base. And he is hitting better against lefties and better on the road than he is at home or against righties this year. It just continues. The other one I did want to throw at you, and I'm not going to go on a robo-ump tangent right now. Follow at Drew Creasman on Twitter for all your robo-ump rants and all of your complaining about the strike. It was an egregious 3-2 call on Raimel, but that call was only the second time this year. So that should have been a walk. That was only the second time this year Raimel was struck out against somebody who does not pitch for an NL West team. Jacob deGrom and Adam Wainwright. Every other strikeout he's had this year has come against a pitcher in the NL West. And that one was bogus. Should have been a walk. So.
Well, our guy McTapia at Rocky Rage.
I didn't want to steal his, so I'm glad you're doing this.
Well, I'll give him a shout out, and I'll be the one who says it. So again, gets a little heat off you. But McTapia, throw him a follow. He's one of those.
He's fantastic.
He's one of those Rockies elites. Yeah. You know what I mean? Out there. So got to give him a shout out again at Rocky Rage 117. He said Raimel Tapia has the same amount of hits as Mike Trout. All right. More RBIs, and 18 less strikeouts. Chills.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey, it's something.
I would assume
it's something.
Far fewer home runs, but Tap still has 4 home runs, which this early in the season's a decent number. At most, Trout's got 9 or 10. Like no one's at 13 yet, right? We're not there yet in the season.
Better hair.
Yeah, slowed down. Yeah. Better hair than Mike Trout.
Yep.
Hashtag is Raimel Tapia better than Mike Trout? Is that too long for a hashtag?
He has a better teammate. He has a better best teammate. Trevor Story versus Anthony Rendon.
There you go.
Pujols is no longer a teammate of Mike Trout.
That's right.
What else can we possibly stretch?
It is interesting that he's got more ribbies. That's kind of fascinating.
Yeah. Leadoff spot. He's got leadoff. Yeah. So he's had a couple games batting 5th.
But yeah, right. That's just really fascinating because he doesn't have, and he's not a slugger. You know, certainly not compared to guys like Trout. So that's absolutely fascinating.
Walk-off home runs?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
Grand
maybe
slams.
Again?
How many grand slams does Trout have this year? He's got Jacob deGrom yet? I think not.
And sure, maybe because they haven't played each other.
Maybe
let's not dig too deep into the who, what, where, when, and why.
I love
it's just Tapia season, baby.
When Katie Wu was on the show the other day, and if you guys missed that one, go back and watch it. And watch it on YouTube because there was visuals and stuff with that one as well. But when she said she saw Jack Flaherty and Jacob deGrom talking to each other in center field, she goes, they've got to be talking about run support. Because Flaherty's just getting all the run support, and deGrom gets, you may have heard, none of it.
I think they were actually, I heard through a source that they were actually talking about helping out your superstar team, your superstar fantasy draft.
That's right.
And Jack was like, dude, I'm doing what I can.
Doing what I
I'm
can.
going to
That's
try to
right.
get my 6th win, which he did get
Which
for
he
you.
did.
So Jack Flaherty's been doing a lot of heavy lifting, and Jake DeGrom's like, I know, just let him know I'm doing the best I can. So 4th of July weekend, expect a text from Jack Flaherty. He might have to take you out and say, hey, don't be so hard on DeGrom, who did leave the game a little early today. We're kind of waiting on reports. That's not good.
Bad for everybody. We don't like that.
Baseball can't afford to lose their stars.
You don't want that. Don't want that for anybody. I've got a few final thoughts for everybody. It's also, we're about to wrap this whole thing up, wrapping up the weekend series. What you got to do now is go out and get yourself a little illegal Pete's. Time to treat yourself. You sat through a sweep of the Rockies. It was tough out there. They got party margs out there now, 32 ounces of house margarita, 4 times the size of that normal house marg. Happy hour at all locations. 3 to 6 p.m. every day. $1 off all drafts, $1 off house and coin style margs, $20 party margs, $1 off chips and queso, and large chips and guac, plus free chips and salsa. If you're drinking at the bar, go down and check them out. Ongoing promotion also at all locations that offers a free draft beer or house marg with purchase of an adult entree with when the guest shows a same-day ticket to any event. So if you plan on going out to any of these games against the Padres in the upcoming days, swing by Illegal Pete's. They got one down there in Lodo. But if you're feeling for some comfort food to fill the hole in your Rockies win heart, because you didn't get any Rockies wins, and you might not see any coming up for the next couple of days, maybe fill that with some Illegal Pete's. Wash it down with a little Breck Brew.
And if you think you know the burrito experience from some other places, you don't, because they've got a million side things that you can load in. I don't even think they have a limit. So you can go with all different kinds of veggies that they've got. I think they even have more than 2 types of beans. So you can really blow up one of those tortillas where it rips. They are going to load you up to the hilt. That they do not hold back when it comes to the different toppings and the innards that they can put inside their burritos. I think that's how they like to call it, innards.
Innards. I believe that's the best selling point.
Are you getting hungry now, folks? You know what? I have to shut up.
Ready for some innards?
My ad libs when it comes to anything having to do with food is I need to work on my game.
Fantastic right up until the end there.
Right up until the word innards.
I believe that was about when you
that was when it went veered off. Okay.
Yeah. So Patrick, I had a couple of thoughts on something that you said really right up front. That was, I really didn't think that the Rockies played especially poorly in this series. When Katie had to go to the Nolan Arenado interview and Makayla and I were there just kind of previewing the series, we were talking about, actually by your question, requesting basically what were the worst case scenarios, right? And we kind of went through it could go really bad for Gomber. And while you look at the stat line and say, okay, not what you wanted, he was able to go some innings. It really came down to a couple of pitches that he wants back, especially that hanger to Harrison Bader. The rest of them, they kind of dinked and dunked him a little bit, ran into some tough luck in the other inning where they scored on him. In fact, he had a number of very impressive strikeouts. I didn't think Gomber pitched poorly, certainly not compared to the other times where we've seen him give up some runs where he's just been non-competitive, right? I thought Gomber's was fine. I thought Chichi had a similar outing. Started shaky, wasn't locating early on, got it back together, was able to eat up some innings, and then got tagged a little bit late. Probably didn't need to go back out there for that last inning. And in a season where you want the Rockies to be more competitive, you're maybe complaining about that more. But in this season, I will say this, Patrick, is one of the very few times this year I thought, they trying to lose? And I don't think so. I don't think they're there yet. But when they came back, we talked about the Dom Nunez double to tie it up, right? Yeah. And they kind of have this momentum. And Chichi's pitch count had been getting up there, and he'd been more. He had gotten you. He'd basically recovered and given you the length that you needed. You could have gone to Justin Lawrence right there, and we saw Lawrence wasn't perfect, but still, you're giving yourself a shot there. And he only ended up giving the 1 run as opposed to Chichi gives up the 2-run home run. Then you go to Lawrence and he gives up the 1 run. It turns into a 3-run inning. Again, a more competitive team. You're frustrated by that. This team, you're kind of they're giving us the best of both worlds. They're getting
Best you could hope for,
they're giving you closer to that first overall draft pick and giving me big hits from Dom Nunez, growth from Austin Gomber. Some of these young pitchers, Robert Stevenson again. If Makayla was here, she'd knock
Jordan
our heads
Sheffield.
together. Jordan Sheffield, great, yeah,
looked solid. And you're right with Gomber, he didn't walk anyone, so you're like, okay, that's good. Probably left too much over the plate. Struck out 7, missing bats. Like that's something that you if you can't miss bats, you can't miss bats. Period. Like right. When I played, and again, I probably shouldn't be making any analogies to professional athletes and myself, but like I did a good job at inducing
up with one
some weak contact, but like I could never, and I could be effective, but I just couldn't miss bats.
Yeah.
You can't teach that. And so that's something that Austin Gomber was able to do. And we say, all right, his first start at Coors Field, maybe had the butterflies, was a little bit too amped up. You're going to understand that. So, he's not a spring chicken. He's not a rookie. He's 27 years old, but he lacks a certain amount of experience. So again, you like what you're seeing on the upside with the 7 strikeouts to no walks. And you say, man, he's a little bit too amped up, maybe a little too anxious or whatever. Okay, that's fine. You can get past that with experience. We said that was said about Jon Gray a couple years ago, and now look at what he's been doing in 2021. So that's going to happen. You can live with that.
Yeah.
You can live with that kind of growth. Same thing with Antonio Senzatella. Then we finally started seeing it in 2020. Senzatella, incidentally, will be coming off the IL to make his start tomorrow in Colorado for a 3-game set against the Padres. So you're right. That is something positive that of a silver lining. You say, hey, all right, he was able to get a little bit of length, out of that performance. Some of those young guys on Saturday did a nice job. Sunday fought back late, didn't get totally blown away. But the cousin, he had a solo homer on Sunday, but didn't totally, do a lot of crazy highlights.
Torch him.
No.
Yeah.
There was a play I think on I don't know if it was MLB or again one of the bigger baseball accounts on Twitter said something like, "Oh, great play, Gold Glove," and it was just a regular 5-3. I was like, we're stretching here. We are really stretching, and it was just a backhanded catch. Took like 3 steps, hit his mitt like twice. It was like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really aren't. In fact, the toughest chance he had was actually a ball that Tapia hit sort of by him when he was pulled in, and he made a dive, and I thought he was going to get it, but didn't quite, and base hit tap. So
it was cool seeing Story and Nolan there.
That was cool.
Together. That was
good.
Cool. Would have been nice to see Josh and Nolan a little bit. I don't think the cameras were able to capture any moments with that, but And Josh is he's not a St. Louis guy, but did play at Missouri Baptist in St. Louis. So, not even necessarily his first time at Busch Stadium, the third. So it would have been cool if he would have been able to have a little bit of better weekend. But Rockies just having a hard time on the road. Worst record in MLB on the road. Okay.
And actually, I'd forgotten. There I can't remember what podcast. There was a big preview podcast that we did where I said very specifically, it was right after the Nolan trade, and I was like, this team is going to be awful on the road, and that's the reason why. Yeah. And you look back at bad Rockies teams in history. Look, it's not like it was the boldest prediction of all time. Bad Rockies teams are worse on the road, and we know this isn't a particularly talented team. They've actually been pretty solid at home, which is an interesting thing to keep our eyes on and see how much that develops. But inexperience on top of lack of depth, on top of lack of top end talent, and you're going to have these kinds of series where these guys are just not equipped. Look at the team that had Nolan and Charlie and DJ and Trevor and David Dahl and all those guys on it. And it was still by the numbers a below average offense because what it does to your road production. Those guys still had trouble producing on the road. So when you take out a lot of that talent and you're replacing it with guys who belong in the bigs and would be solid role players on lots of teams, but certainly can't carry an offense and cannot carry a Rockies offense on the road. They're just not good enough to do that. So they're going to be bad on the road all year, and that's what's going to keep them from going on any kind of magical sudden run, I think, or any of those kinds of things.
And to your point, Rockies were shut out 4 times in 2020, and so in 60 games, and they're already at 5 right now. So again, you take that big bat out of the lineup. Again, guys aren't seen as good pitches. Like again, Connor Joe's not batting, second or third in front of
Trevor
Nolan
Story, nothing
Arenado.
but curveballs. You saw it today.
Exactly. Yeah. The scouting reports from the other teams just know, look, pitch to this guy, don't pitch to this guy, make him do something stupid, chase outside of the zone. That we kind of saw that a couple weeks ago at Ryan McMahon, got off to his huge start. And I think he started chasing some pitches outside of the zone because he wasn't getting anything good to hit. And you go, yeah, they're falling right into our plan because it's an inexperienced team and there's nothing definitively reliable in the lineup other than essentially Trevor Story. And we're seeing, to a degree, Tapia benefit from that a little bit, right? And I think eventually once you remove that support, Tapia will still be there and it's fine. Like that's
Tapia
what you
is the
need.
one guy that's just because of the way he approaches it, it's just like that's just what he's gonna hit always. Somebody did try to get me with it, like, let's see what his numbers are removed from Coors Field. I was like, they'll be the same. Yeah, they'll be exactly the same. They won't go up. They won't.
It's the same even for every Rockies player. So it's like we get it. There's going to be bad splits,
right?
But
for him in particular, it's just like the consistency. But you're right. Past those two guys and with Chuck aging,
and that's where that value of having a big name or a big bat, or it can make everybody else in the lineup that much better because you're looking in the dugout and you're looking on double deck. Like now who's on deck, but who am I going to be facing, 2 more down the line. And that's, that's a kind of pressure that you can put on another team. It's like a runner on first base that's got speed. You're thinking about him maybe more than you should be. So you remove a superstar like Nolan Arenado, you're not just removing 40 homers and 110 RBI. You're removing so much more than that. And so we're seeing the impact of that.
Yep.
And but there's still some fun. This team's not going to quit, man. They're the Cucarachas. They're the Blake Street Spoilers. Whatever nickname you want to throw at them.
Yeah,
they're not going to lay down.
2 late rallies in the series that came up just short, really, in games 2 and 3. And it will be interesting to see by the end of the season if they've grown in a little bit of confidence, if they pull off a couple of those late Cucarachas comeback wins and just mess up people's days. Like, that'll be fun.
Yeah, and what kind of injection of life that some of the guys down in AAA could possibly bring to this team. We'll see if Story
Freeland
gets traded.
and Rogers are nearing
Freeland and Rogers.
Well.
That's going to inject a little bit of life. Again, not enough life to totally reverse everything, but just make there to be more interesting stories, more positivity. Ryan Valade, I think he's the 7th youngest guy in AAA. I thought that was a little aggressive. I assumed he was going to AA Hartford. To see him in AAA was, really, again, was aggressive.
Yeah.
So I like that.
So
there's some AAA guys that can come up. We're not going to see it with Colton Welker, unfortunately. 80-game suspension there with that. But there are other guys
into
down
that deeper on a future podcast too, because that's an interesting situation. And I've been retweeting everything involved. Again, make sure you're following on social media. He's had a statement. Spielborgs came out and made a statement about his statement. There's been some interesting reporting. So, we'll talk.
And you're going to have a statement about Spilly's statement about Welker's statement.
That's exactly
right. The statement I can't wait to make a statement on.
That's right. So you've got to stay tuned for all of that to see all of those statements. Follow everyone on social media at Drew Creasman, at Patrick D. Lyons, at DNVR_Rockies. Subscribe to the DNVR.com so that you get all the written content, plus the discounts on the hats, the shirts, the masks, the bigger beer when you come down to the DNVR bar, and with the annual, the free shirt and the free holistic stick from our friends at Holistic Wellness. Just keep watching baseball. I know it can be brutal out there, but it can also be a whole lot of fun. And yes, we do intend to have more and more guests for you throughout the year. They're going to be fun interviews. We really appreciate Jon Gray taking the time, having some fun with us. We'll be looking to get more players on for you throughout the season. So thank you all for continuing to be absolutely awesome out there. We promise to continue being absolutely Patrick Lyons and Drew Creasman in here. And until next time, we will see you at the ballpark.